My parents divorced. To protect my younger sister, to shield her from our father's beatings, I decisively chose to go with our mother. But later, our father became a billionaire, and my sister's resentment festered. If it weren't for you, I would be the one enjoying all the glory and wealth. She lost all reason, dragging me down a cliff with her. We were reborn together, returning to the exact moment our parents divorced. My younger sister, Luna, was quick to speak. "I'll go with mother." As she left the house, she looked back at me with a triumphant smirk. "Chiara, this time the glory and wealth will be mine." I let out a sneer. Did she truly believe that enormous fortune was earned by that abusive man himself? He was nothing more than a pawn on a chessboard. When I was reborn, my parents were in a fierce argument about dividing me and my twin sister, Luna. They faced each other relentlessly. One wanted custody of me, the other wanted to take both of us. My father wanted to keep me to save face, while my mother wanted to rescue both of us from a life of misery. Because I was an excellent student, staying with father in his eyes would bring him prestige. Kai and Chi, I will absolutely take both of them. You only know how to drink and gamble. What future will they have with you? My mother roared at father, unyielding. Luna, who I had been shielding behind me, suddenly pushed me away, rushed straight to father, and screamed at mother, "I'm not going with you, mother. I want to go with dad." My body swayed slightly, and I suddenly realized that Luna and I had been reborn together, returning to when we were 16. That year, my twin sister Luna and I had just entered high school, and our parents had completely torn off their facade, each going their separate ways. On this very day in my previous life, my parents had also argued with such fury. My father drank, gambled, and was abusive, which was why my mother was so determined to divorce. The court ruled, and they agreed to each take one child. To protect Luna from father's abuse, I had unhesitatingly chosen to go with mother. The result was that over 10 years later, my father successfully started a business, became a billionaire, and no longer physically abused me. But that couldn't change the fact that he was a beast in human skin. I became the cherished young lady everyone envied. Everyone praised my foresight. Over 10 years ago, I chose to go with father, and now I stood at the pinnacle of my life. In contrast, my mother's business gradually declined. Luna's life was also no longer what it once was. She grew to resent me. Even though I had asked father to help mother and my sister after he became wealthy, Luna remained unsatisfied. She cursed me, claiming I had deliberately chosen father years ago and now intentionally flaunted my wealth in front of her. Even at a high society party, she rushed straight to father, weeping and wailing, demanding that he acknowledge her. But my father coldly pushed her away. "Luna, our connection ended over 10 years ago. Please don't claim kinship out of convenience." My father adjusted his clothes, hurried to my side, linked his arm with mine, and declared to everyone, "This is my only biological daughter, Chiara." I didn't understand how Luna had misunderstood me. I wanted to step forward and explain clearly to my sister, but she just glared at me with seething resentment. Finally, Luna lost control in her rage, pretending to invite me out to play, then pushed me off a cliff. Fortunately, both she and I were reborn. In this life, if she wants to live a miserable life so much, then so be it. A person with a rotten heart will never truly change for the better. We also need to recalculate the debt between us sisters. My father looked at Luna's outburst with a hint of annoyance. "I'm taking Chiara, you go with your mother." Luna refused, pulling on father's arm, acting spoiled. "Dad, take me with you. Chiara only buries her head in books. She doesn't know how to do anything like a dead person. Take me, Dad. My grades will get better later, and not only will I bring you prestige, but I'll also repay you." As she spoke, Luna leaned in and whispered into father's ear. I guessed Luna was offering him her savings. My mother's business was still quite prosperous at the moment, giving us both about 4,000 or 5,000 yuan in pocket money each month. Luna must have saved quite a bit. A moment later, my father grinned broadly, clapping his hands delightedly. "Good, very good, truly my obedient daughter, I'm taking you." My mother still wanted to try a little harder to see if she could take Luna with her, but Luna roared at her. "I told you I'm not going with you. Are you deaf, mother? Don't block my path to becoming rich." My mother was instantly silenced. My father was just a construction worker now. How could Luna become rich by following him? Although I didn't understand her intention, my mother was clearly hurt by Luna's attitude. I smiled, looking at Luna's dreamy expression, and spoke to confirm one more time. "Sister, have you thought this through carefully? Dad will abuse you. Luna provocatively smirked at me. Beating is loving, scolding is caring. However cruelly Dad beats me now, that's how much he'll love me later. A bookworm like you, who only knows how to study, wouldn't understand. My parents quickly divided their assets, but my mother still worried about Luna. After father took Luna away, mother called me closer, her face full of anxiety. Chiara, Luna is still my flesh and blood, your own sister. Take this 20,000 yuan. I'm busy lately, so please help me keep an eye on Luna. If anything happens, please help her. I casually took the money and took the opportunity to remind my mother. Mother, I'm telling you this so you can prepare yourself. Luna's determined attitude today to go with father clearly shows she's made up her mind. If you want to help her, that's your business, but it's highly likely she won't accept it. I understood Luna best. On the surface, she seemed carefree, but deep down, she harbored many schemes. In my previous life, I didn't see through her. Only after reflecting carefully did I truly understand her. My mother's business later suddenly ran into problems. I investigated and found it related to Luna. Once I chose to follow mother, of course, I had to ensure she wouldn't become a burden to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't hesitate to repeat the entire process of my previous life again. My mother was stunned, clearly not expecting me to say such words. She thought perhaps the divorce had made me overthink things. Mother's mood also became somber. It's my fault, Chiara, for making you worry about these things at such a young age. It's okay, Chiara. If Luna doesn't accept it, then so be it. You can keep this money and spend it. I nodded, no longer refusing. I followed mother's instructions, feigning concern for Luna. Arriving at father's house, I coincidentally caught him coming home after an all-night gambling session, using a belt to hit Luna. I stood outside the door for a long time, listening to Luna's desperate screams. It was exactly like me in my previous life. Luna continuously wailed, "I gave you 5,000 yuan yesterday, Dad. Why did you lose it all? You wretched bitch, who gave you permission to talk to your father like that? What can 5,000 yuan do? Didn't your mother give you a lot of money? Where is it? Hand it all over." I laughed. Actually, there was still a slight difference. Did Luna truly believe that simply giving money to an abusive man would make everything okay? Or did she genuinely believe that this man, who only knew how to carouse, drink, and abuse, would later become a billionaire? Was her mind still normal? Kai was merely a puppet I pushed onto the stage. In my previous life, once I reached adulthood, Kai constantly used me as a punching bag. Later, when he ran out of money, he even drugged me and sold me to human traffickers to pay off his debts. If I hadn't been quick-witted and fast on my feet, I might not even have a body left today. It was also because of this incident that I missed my college entrance exam. This was my biggest regret in my previous life. After that incident, I started delving into the stock market. Later, my ventures grew larger and larger, attracting no small number of envious people. Every day, many people investigated who was behind these controlled figures. I thought of Kai. At that time, he was tricked into a pyramid scheme. I spent a lot of effort and money to rescue him, then turned him into my pawn, standing before the curtain. During that period, he was hospitalized for nearly half a year. All of it was due to the people I offended, who beat him. But in return, I gave him endless glory and inexhaustible wealth. In my previous life, when Luna sought out Kai, he dared not acknowledge her. If he did, he would lose everything, including my control over him. The sounds of whipping and pleas from the yard gradually faded. Kai cursed a few more times, then staggered off to sleep. 10 minutes later, the creaking gate was pushed open from the inside. Luna dragged her battered body out. She intended to go to the small supermarket at the end of the alley to buy antiseptic. Seeing me, hatred clearly flashed in her eyes. "Chiara, what are you doing here? Did you intentionally come to mock me?" Before I could even open my mouth, her tone shifted to one of condescension. "What do you have that's worth mocking? Didn't you also experience this in your previous life? But that was only temporary. I'll turn the tables, and then I'll be the noble young lady, while you'll only be fit to kneel at my feet and beg." I glanced at Luna's slightly limping left leg and her swollen face beneath her long hair. In the wind, there seemed to be a faint smell of blood. I secretly chuckled, but outwardly I feigned ignorance. "Luna, what are you talking about? Which previous life? Which young lady? Dad is just a construction worker. Originally, Mother asked me to check on you, but now it seems Luna is still very strong. You don't need my care at all." Luna, covered in bruises, still held her head high, mocking me triumphantly. No matter what, I'm still the heroine. Get lost, I don't need your help. I wasn't angry at all for being cursed. Instead, I chuckled and raised my voice, intentionally making sure Kai-en-chi could hear. All right, little sister, if you and Dad don't need it, then I'll take these 30,000 yuan, shall I? Inside the house, Kai-en-chi was woken by my voice, suddenly sat up and roared downstairs. 30,000, leave it for me, Luna, you cursed girl, who gave you the guts to say you don't need it? Chiara, you can't leave, wait for me to come down and get it. I took advantage of the moment before they could reach me and loudly declared once more, what? Okay, little sister, if we're cutting ties, then from now on I won't bother you two anymore. With that, I ran off. Faintly, I heard Kai-en-chi cursing behind me, then running downstairs, grabbing Luna and beating and kicking her some more. I smiled triumphantly. Does it hurt, little sister? Compared to what you did to me in the previous life, what is this? How cool and refreshing the morning breeze is. Throughout the entire summer holiday, Luna lived under Kai-en-chi's lashings. As for my mother, after a few attempts to have me look after Luna, only to be cursed by her, she gradually gave up on the idea. I asked Mother to open a stock account for me, and she immediately agreed, conveniently transferring an additional 50,000 yuan to me. Mother said, I don't ask you to be how brilliant, just maintain your academic performance. I won't interfere with anything else. I nodded in agreement. The stock market trends in this life and the previous life weren't much different. Coupled with my innate sensitivity to numbers, I quickly became familiar with it. The capital in my hands multiplied. But in this life, I didn't reveal my true strength as hastily as before. I chose stocks that would rise 3 times, then fall a few times, to better conceal myself. Soon enough, the summer holiday ended, and Luna and I entered the 11th grade. We still attended the same school. After all, Father didn't have money to transfer Luna to another school. Before each school year, high schools in the city would hold a joint exam to assess students' academic performance during the summer holiday. This time was no different. My performance remained in the top 3 of the entire grade. As for my dear younger sister, whose academic performance was originally only average, she made a spectacular comeback this time, scoring first in the entire grade. Her score was almost perfect. I nearly burst out laughing. Luna, being reborn, naturally had memories of the joint exam from her previous life. She wanted to show off her abilities to Kai-en-chi, so she came up with this trick. But she was truly foolish. Didn't she know the saying, greed knows no bounds? Such an obvious discrepancy, did she really think others wouldn't notice? But strangely, Kai-en-chi believed it. Not only did he believe it, but he also thought he had raised a future provincial top scholar. For the past few days, he no longer went gambling. Instead, he ran to our school every day, lingering near the entrance to brag. He even bought a huge loudspeaker and ran in front of Mother and me to show off. Kai-en-chi couldn't control himself for more than a few days. His gambling addiction relapsed, and he went to play cards again. Overjoyed by Luna's first-place win, he played a big game, losing everything, until he was left with only his underwear. Yes, only his underwear. The reason I knew this so clearly was because the debt collectors came straight to the school to demand money from Kai-en-chi. They beat Kai-en-chi all night, but he had no money to pay. Kai-en-chi's eyes darted around, and he told the debt collector that Luna had money. The debt collector also remembered this point. A few days ago, Kai-en-chi had bragged everywhere that he had a daughter who would be the future provincial top scholar, and she seemed very beautiful too. The debt collector thought for a moment, then threw Kai-en-chi, stripped naked, in front of the school gate, conveniently shouting, "Luna, pay up." Just as students were entering class, soon all the teachers and students in the school knew about it. When Luna ran over, her face flushed, surrounded by classmates who were snickering. Isn't this our new academic ace? Turns out her dad is a scoundrel who walks around in just his underwear. What pure and flawless academic ace? She's probably not clean behind the scenes either. The debt collector also whistled, teasing her. Luna, who usually bullied the weak, was scared of the tall debt collector, but she turned to curse the students. What's it to you? You can't test as well as me, and you'll never be better than me later. Just wait until my dad becomes a billionaire, you'll see. Everyone laughed heartily at her absurd words. The debt collector spat disdainfully, seeing that Luna was indeed very pretty, and lewdly whistled. This old man plays dirty at gambling, and the little girl is quite pretty, but she's a fool. Honestly, Mr. Chi, why didn't you bring out such a treasure in your house sooner? If she serves this old man well, would I still need to come demanding money? Chi also showed no shame, shouting at Luna, "Are you standing there like a dead person? Hurry up and pay your father's debt." Luna gritted her teeth in anger, but still meekly handed over her last money to the debt collector. The debt collector, with a lecherous expression, took the money and conveniently groped her. Luna probably thought that Chi would become a billionaire later and lift her to great heights, so she endured it repeatedly. Not long after, the two father and daughter stealthily slipped away. The crowd watching the spectacle also dispersed. After watching the play, I turned and walked to the teacher's office, feigning confusion as I presented my and Luna's exam papers. "Teacher, there's one question I don't quite understand. I looked at Luna's paper for the answer, but it seemed a bit off. Perhaps Luna's thinking is too advanced. Her answer is different from both mine and the standard answer. I've heard many students in school spreading bad rumors about Luna. This negatively affects the school's image. Teacher, why don't we let Luna retake the exam to prove her innocence?" Not to mention me, even the teachers realized something was amiss. Because this matter affected the school's image, the teachers discussed it with the principal and finally accepted my suggestion. As soon as Luna arrived at school, she was hastily called to the office by a teacher. The teacher told her to retake a backup exam under everyone's supervision. If the results were similar, it would prove she hadn't cheated. Luna certainly couldn't do it, hesitantly refusing, but couldn't resist the teacher's insistence. The result was clear. Throughout an entire morning, she took a math exam but couldn't even score 50 points. There was no need to continue, everyone understood. Luna didn't have the ability to achieve such high scores, she had cheated. The school revoked her exam results and issued a school-wide reprimand. This news quickly spread among all the schools participating in the joint exam. Soon enough, Chi also found out. According to students living near Chi, Luna was beaten all night that night, so severely that she couldn't attend school the next day. After that incident, Luna lived a much more subdued life throughout the semester. I was very satisfied because Luna was so eager to follow my path from the previous life, so naturally, I had to take care of her in every aspect. On one hand, I continued to study to maintain my top academic position. On the other hand, I began to expand my business in the field I was good at. I intentionally let Mother see a few more zeros in the account she had opened for me. I took this opportunity to frankly tell Mother that I could help her surpass her current level and expand internationally, with one condition: she must not reveal anything about me. The main purpose was to prevent Luna and Chi from causing trouble again. I invested in Mother's company under her name, frantically acquiring company shares. After holding the majority of shares, I held real power, turning my mother into a figurehead. This, of course, was also because my mother was too soft-hearted. If one day those two came begging, who knew, Mother might actually hand over the empire she painstakingly built to others. After gaining power, I began to boldly invest in the market. I specifically targeted industries that would grow rapidly in the next few years and invested large amounts into them. This was one aspect. On the other hand, in the stock market, I no longer concealed too much, specifically targeting stocks that could make one rich overnight. My mother took this opportunity to appear in public. In a short period, all entrepreneurs wanted to investigate my mother's identity, and my mother began to do as I had taught her. Gradually, she appeared on my behalf in major business fields. This time, unlike making my mother a puppet in the previous life, it was to make her my representative. After the initial shock, my mother clearly grew accustomed to her current role. It made sense. Firstly, for all these years, Mother had worked herself to the bone for the company, already overloaded. Secondly, the business acumen I displayed was clearly outstanding. Later, when we developed, it would certainly attract envy from others. Therefore, while helping my mother manage her assets, I began to consolidate my own strength. In contrast to my comfortable life, Luna was still being abused by Chi daily. But the good news for Luna was that Chi finally got a little rich. Just like in the previous life, at this time, Chi had a new job, working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., with a monthly salary of 5,000 yuan. Not only that, a gambling friend of Chi also introduced him to gambling. Kai was like a born gambler. He'd throw in 10,000 yuan at night and win 20,000 in the morning. This didn't just happen once. For half a month straight, Kai never lost a single game at the casino. Even the neighbors around them became friendlier with the father and daughter. They no longer called him that guy, but the gambling god. The father and daughter were ecstatic. One was happy to indulge in his vices again, the other was happy because, indeed, Kai had a talent for making money. Luna happily fantasized about the scene not long from now when Kai would become a billionaire, and she would be a wealthy young lady. I was also very happy that the unexpected gift I had prepared for them was finally slowly unfolding. If I was living so well in this life, of course, I had to guard against them. What if it was like the previous life again? Would I survive? Kai rented a new house and bought a decent car. Soon after, his gambling friend began to suggest things to him again. Mr. Chi, you don't have the knowledge, so you don't understand. Now is not the old days. Relying solely on gambling isn't enough. You can't get rich that way. In my opinion, you should take half the money and open an account with me. We'll invest in the stock market. You can earn a few more zeros overnight. Kai was, of course, very tempted and withdrew half the money to prepare to open an account. Luna's heart immediately swelled with excitement. All current signs indicated that Kai was indeed like in the previous life, a rare genius. Although he was a bit wealthy now, Luna, having past knowledge, how could she be satisfied with this? She hastily stopped him, urging him to invest all the money, and even conveniently helped him pick a few stocks. Kai, how could he believe her words? He disagreed. Seeing that she couldn't persuade him, Kai even got angry and tried to get physical. Luna gritted her teeth and then recounted her rebirth. Dad, believe me, I'm a reborn person. In my previous life, you invested in these stocks and they soared by tens of millions overnight. Believe me, Dad, I would never lie to you. Besides, have you forgotten? I told you long ago that you would become a billionaire. The gambling friend heard these words and exclaimed that Kai daughter was mentally ill, advising him not to be rash. Luna was furious. Uncle, I respect that you helped my dad make money, so I'm letting you in on this, and yet you speak of us like that? The gambling friend angrily left, turning around to inform me of this matter. Kai, however, listened to Luna. That night, they invested their entire fortune into those stocks. The result, the next day, they lost everything. And I, on the other hand, made a fortune. Did Luna really think she could change her life by just remembering a few stock codes? Ridiculous. If the stock market remained stable and unchanged, allowing Luna to pick and choose, would it still be called a stock market? Kai lost his entire fortune and beat Luna half to death. I didn't even need to investigate. The whole school was abuzz with rumors. Luna again missed school for a week, hospitalized and on IV drips. She must have been racking her brain, wondering what exactly went wrong. In the end, she blamed the gambling friend, accusing him of deliberately revealing their secret. You don't understand. The stock market is manipulated. As soon as it's revealed, it collapses. It seemed she had done some research on the stock market after all, but did she truly understand? What was a collapse? What was a rise and fall? Kai was too lazy to care about her anymore. He now began to believe what the gambling friend had said. Luna was mentally ill. He borrowed 20,000 yuan, intending to find his gambling friend and then go to the casino to save face. However, the gambling friend had long since moved away, thanks to me, his benevolent boss. He had completed his mission, and I gave him a generous reward to go somewhere far away, with the condition that he keep everything a secret. As for the people at the casino, they also told me that Kai had returned. This time, he was no longer as lucky as before. From the start to the end, he lost a total of 500,000 yuan. He stubbornly believed he could win it back, staying at the casino without eating or drinking. The casino people wouldn't let him run wild. They beat him up and demanded he pay within a week, or they would chop off one of his fingers. Kai returned home, frantically trying to scrape together money, even preparing to ask his company for an advance on his salary. I waved my hand, and someone went to his company to report him for domestic violence, claiming such behavior damaged the company's image. The company immediately fired him. Kai, a gambler, became unemployed and 50,000 yuan in debt within 2 days. At this point, Kai was completely panicked. How could he gather that much money? After seeing Luna recover and discharged from the hospital, he suddenly had an idea. He remembered what the debt collector had said in front of the school gate. If she serves this old man well, would I still need to come demanding money? This time, I didn't need to send anyone to suggest anything to Kai-Chi. He tied Luna himself, took her to the casino, and offered her to others. How Luna escaped later, I no longer cared, because it was time for the college entrance exam. I achieved a resounding victory, still the top scholar of the entire grade. After the college entrance exam, my mother and I prepared to expand our business overseas. I took my mother to a big city, conveniently moving the company headquarters there. In my previous life, because I had missed the college entrance exam, even though I later attended adult college, I still had many regrets. In this life, I passed the entrance exam to Tsinghua University, enjoying my own college life while remotely controlling my mother to expand internationally. In truth, my mother's abilities were not bad at all. In my previous life, because my mother was too soft-hearted and had Luna holding her back, she was harmed by others and fell into decline. In this life, all company affairs were controlled by me, and my mother only needed to be a simple messenger, naturally much more relaxed. Because of this, my mother also had more free time, learned several foreign languages, and systematically studied economics. In short, everything was developing in a positive direction, except for Luna and Kai-Chi. The last time I saw them was when I graduated from university in my 4th year. I went to a certain city to survey the market and coincidentally met the two of them, who had just escaped a pyramid scheme. Their faces were smeared with dirt and they looked jaundiced, clearly having suffered no small amount of abuse. As soon as Kai-Chi saw me, he excitedly shouted, "Chiara, my good daughter, hurry and save me." Luna only stared intently at my designer clothes, her eyes filled with boundless hatred. The police took them out, and seeing that I was family, allowed me to go with them to the station. There, I learned about what had happened to them over the years. Because Kai-Chi had taken her to the casino, Luna had missed her college entrance exam, now only possessing a high school diploma. When Kai-Chi took her to the casino, they had no reason to refuse. Conveniently, they deducted 100,000 yuan from his debt and gave him a little more time. Logically speaking, Luna should have hated Kai-Chi immensely, but she didn't. This was mainly because Kai-Chi had become wealthy again. Just hearing about it made me feel humiliated. The pandemic era brought immense changes. The casino quickly closed. He took this opportunity to make an illicit fortune from trading during the national crisis, then took Luna from city to city. The remaining people at the casino couldn't find them. His debt thus vanished without a trace. Luna was happy again. This time, unlike previous times, Kai-Chi earned significantly more money, and there were no signs of decline. Luna suddenly realized she was about to reach the pinnacle of wealth. Kai-Chi, however, started to become foolish again. He earned a lot, spent a lot, and his gambling addiction relapsed. After losing a bit of money, Luna began to urge Kai-Chi to start a business to make money, but neither of them knew anything about this field. Luna started forcing him to learn entrepreneurial knowledge. They found an online startup support fund with simple tutorials. Both were very cautious, following the instructions for 2 months. Seeing that it actually worked, they wanted to learn more. This fund then said, because earning money is not convenient to publicize, the subsequent tutorials are very secretive. If needed, you can come to the fund to learn more detailed tutorials. After tasting success, both were tempted and immediately set off. But they didn't expect the so-called fund to be a pyramid scheme nest. As soon as they arrived, both their phones and ID cards were confiscated, and the people inside took turns lecturing and brainwashing them. Only now were they rescued by the police and met me. The police lectured them for a while, then let me take them away. Luna was extremely resistant to any contact between Kai-Chi and me, pulling him 10 meters away from me. "Can you please not follow us anymore? Don't think I don't know what you're thinking, trying to get close to my dad, right? No chance." My emotions were calm. I looked at them with a non-smile. Yes, someone like me, who wears a house on her back, needs to get close to 2 people who just escaped a pyramid scheme. Luna's face stiffened, and she angrily pointed at me, cursing, "Chiara, are you reborn too? I knew it. Aren't you just following the old path my dad took? Why put on airs? I'm telling you, the real knowledge is all in my dad's head. He'll become a billionaire sooner or later, and you're nothing." I snorted, helplessly shrugging. "Think what you want, do what you want, but you can never surpass me because you don't have this asterisk." As I spoke, I pointed to my head, smiling arrogantly. Luna stamped her foot in anger. Chiara, you haven't seen Dad in years, don't you want to catch up with him? Kai-Chi, hearing me say I wore a house on my back, sidled closer to me to try and bond, but Luna pulled him away. After surveying the basic situation of the city, I returned and began a new round of development, while also having someone keep an eye on Luna. Luna's actions were also very swift. That same day, after realizing I was reborn, she incessantly forced my father to learn all sorts of entrepreneurial knowledge. My father was also deluded by Luna's words and actually prepared to start a business again. After getting out of the pyramid scheme, they still had a little money left. They borrowed an additional sum and started a new round of entrepreneurship. But unfortunately, it ended in failure once again. Luna refused to be defeated. She stubbornly believed that Kai-Chi could make them rich, and once again turned her attention to the stock market, again forcing Kai-Chi to learn superficially, then borrowed another sum of money, pouring it all into the stock market. The result, needless to say, was a complete and utter failure. Debt collectors also came to their house, and the two of them began to hide to avoid debt. Kai-Chi was completely broken by Luna. He no longer cooperated. After finding a new place to live, he resumed his old ways: gambling, drinking, brawling, abusing. Luna would spend every day clutching her head in despair, banging it against the wall, muttering to herself, "No, what went wrong? Where was the mistake?" The problem, of course, was me. Without me, Kai-Chi was nothing. Sadly, Luna would never realize that. Kai-Chi, through gambling, befriended a group of bad companions and a venture capitalist. This person told Kai-Chi that it wasn't that he lacked ability, but that the timing and direction he chose for investment and entrepreneurship were wrong. This person praised Kai-Chi for a while, flattering him to the heavens, then prattled on about things he couldn't possibly understand. Kai-Chi was completely convinced. This person told Kai-Chi that if he still wanted to invest in entrepreneurship, he could come to him. He would arrange a suitable investment opportunity for Kai-Chi. Both Kai-Chi and Luna were tempted. Luna almost jumped for joy, because she had met this person in her previous life. In my previous life, Kai-Chi had brought this venture capitalist to find my mother and Luna, wanting to borrow some money to invest. At that time, I hadn't yet sought out Kai-Chi to turn him into my puppet, so I hadn't had time to stop him. His appearance proved that Kai-Chi was prime bait in this investment field. Luna finally pinpointed the crux of the problem. She stubbornly believed that Kai-Chi's great success in his previous life was actually due to the guidance of this venture capitalist. She vehemently assured Kai-Chi that as long as they secured this person, they would become rich. They discussed and prepared to follow him to invest in entrepreneurship. But entrepreneurship requires capital, and after a period of extravagant spending, they were now out of money. Luna thought for a while, then thought of my mother. They both rushed to my house and were stunned by the magnificent villa before their eyes. They truly hadn't expected my mother to be living so well now. A cunning glint flashed in Kai-Chi's eyes, his words full of calculation. "My dear, if we don't count our 20-something years of friendship, we were still husband and wife for over 10 years, so now we can be considered half friends, right? All these years, I raised Luna for you, if not merit, then at least hard work. And now I'm short on cash, lend me some. I don't need much, just $2 million, and find us a place to stay so the two children can meet easily later." I leisurely munched on melon seeds, leaning against the villa door, and listening to these words, I clicked my tongue twice, full of curiosity. It couldn't be denied. In terms of shamelessness, Luna and Kai-Chi were truly deserving father and daughter. Luna glared at me fiercely, then quickly sobbed and rushed into my mother's arms. My mother swiftly dodged, and Luna stumbled. "Mother, it's Luna. You haven't seen me once in all these years. You don't know how much I missed you. Dad and I always missed you, but because we had no money, we couldn't see you. A few days ago, Dad was tricked out of all his money. Now I don't even have money for school anymore. Mother, please lend Dad some money. Consider it for me, your daughter." They both cried miserably. One used morality to bind, the other used blood ties to persuade. As if my mother would be committing a heinous crime if she didn't agree, I spat out a melon seed, giving a cold laugh. "Funny. My mother gave you 30,000 yuan that year, but you didn't want it and demanded to cut ties. What kind of drama are you putting on now? A new version of The Farmer and the Snake, or Sir Dongguo and the Wolf?" Kai-Chi cleared his throat, loudly scolding me. "How dare you, you brat? I haven't even mentioned what you pulled on me back then, and you're playing tricks now. That old man told you to give him money back then. Where did you take it? Truly a waste to have raised you for 16 years. Luna became even more pitiful, looking towards my mother, recounting her hardships. Mother, that's not true. I didn't see her back then, and I didn't know about those 30,000 yuan. She must have hated me for choosing Dad, so she deliberately tried to drive a wedge between you and Dad. I said nothing, and my mother didn't rush to make a decision either. They still hadn't realized that the person who could truly make decisions was me, not my mother. My mother glanced at me, stepped forward, slapped Luna hard across the face, then kicked Kai-Chi with her high heel. My daughter, I understand. Who gave you two permission to talk nonsense here? That year, I was blind to let Chiara give you money. Now, it seems you two not starving to death truly means heaven is blind. The two, who were acting so well, instantly turned pale. I waved my hand, and immediately guards came, handcuffed them, and dragged them out. Luna angrily cursed at us. Chiara, just you wait. When I turn the tables, I'll definitely show you. I laughed, waving my hand. Oh, I'm so scared but not scared at all. They were completely unable to gather enough money, but the investment matter couldn't be put off, because the venture capitalist told them that a big client abroad was inviting him, and a multi-billion yuan investment project was awaiting him. After hearing the number, billions, Luna's eyes lit up like light bulbs. After a struggle of thoughts, she found an online service for naked loans, borrowing money by providing explicit photos. She borrowed 500,000 yuan from the websites, took the money, and gave it to Kai-Chi, preparing to cooperate with the investor. At this point, the investor said, "Excuse me, you two, you've delayed too long. Now I must fly abroad today." How could they let this opportunity slip away? After much pleading, the investor finally relented. "All right then, you two can come with me abroad to cooperate and invest with my client." To show sincerity, he added, "I will cover all travel expenses abroad." This opportunity only came once, and cooperating with a big client abroad meant earning not just a few billion anymore. The two were overjoyed, handing their ID cards to the venture capitalist. The investor flew them to Myanmar first, comforting them. "Don't worry, even I need to transit here. It only takes 3 hours." And then, they never returned. Both were sold into Myanmar. These details were only revealed 2 years later, after the police rescued them. Upon their return, Luna and Kai-Chi were missing quite a few organs, and their minds were no longer normal. The police inquired with many people, finally contacting my mother and me. I immediately had someone take them to the hospital for examination. The diagnostic results showed that both were now mentally ill patients. As their family, of course, I had the right to commit them to a mental hospital. I very kindly went to see Luna one last time. She wore a patient's gown, and among her loose hair, faint lice could be seen jumping around. As soon as I arrived, Luna, who had been muttering in the corner, rushed forward, trying to scratch my face through the iron bars. You bitch, it's all because you stole my life. It's all because of you." I kindly reminded her. "Little sister, even now you still don't understand. How could that gambling, abusive man be a talented and strategic billionaire? Besides me having this ability, who else could control you in the palm of their hand for 2 lifetimes? Luna's eyes widened, her hands tearing at her hair in disbelief. "No, I don't believe it. It was clearly me. I am the reborn heroine. All this glory and wealth should be mine. I want to be reborn." "I want to be reborn?" She frantically slammed her head against the bars, making the doctors rush over to inject her with a sedative. I was no longer interested in teasing her and turned my back, leaving the mental hospital. Stepping out of the hospital, the sunlight shone on me, so warm. I stretched out my arms, stretched, and continued walking. I don't care if you're the reborn heroine or whatever. No matter how many times you're reborn, I will always be the heroine.